Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Tushti Bhardwaj from Department of Social Work, Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar College, University of Delhi. Today we are going to learn about palliative care and community engagement from the paper Human Resources through Community Engagement. In this session, we will discuss the following points: meaning and definitions of palliative care, origin of palliative care, current state of palliative care in India, models and agents of palliative care, community engagement in palliative care, recommendations for developing palliative care specialty in India, and last we will discuss the summary. After completing this module, the students will be able to learn understanding the concept of palliative care, the origin and development of palliative care in Western world and India, identifying the agents of delivering palliative care services, delineate the community engagement process in palliative care. Now we will discuss the meaning and definitions of palliative care. So to begin with, let's learn about the concept and definition of palliative care. Palliative care is patient and family-centered care to improve quality of life by preventing and treating their sufferings. Palliative care throughout the continuum of illness involves addressing physical, emotional, social and spiritual needs. It also aims to facilitate patient autonomy for decision making by making information accessible to them. Palliative care is a multidisciplinary approach to improve quality of life of patients and families with life-threatening diseases, providing optimal pain and symptoms management, spiritual and psychosocial support from diagnosis to the end of life and even beyond to the bereaved families. Palliative care is generally referred to in context of serious and chronic illness like cancer, HIV/AIDS, progressive neurological conditions like multiple sclerosis, progressive pulmonary disorders, renal disease and heart failure. Team approach for palliative care. The discipline of palliative care is a multi-specialty which needed a pool of professionals from different disciplines. These pictures present you how different disciplines can work together for palliative care. Now, the multidisciplinary team for palliative care. Palliative care is provided by a team of physicians, nurses, psychologists, social workers, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, and other healthcare professionals who work together to provide best care and support to the patient and family. Although it is an important part of end-of-life care, but not limited to that stage. It is appropriate at any age and stage of serious illness and can be provided along with curative treatment. Palliative care can be provided across multiple settings including hospitals, patient's home, part of community palliative care program and skilled nursing facilities. Interdisciplinary palliative care teams work with patients and their families to clarify goals of care and provide symptom management, psychosocial care and spiritual support. Now let us learn the definition of palliative care. World Health Organization (WHO) defines palliative care as an approach that improves quality of life of patients and their families facing life-threatening illness through prevention and relief of sufferings by means of early identification and impeccable assessment and treatment of pain and other problems, physical, psychosocial and spiritual. Palliative care as per WHO guidelines includes providing relief from pain and other symptoms. It regards dying as a normal process It neither hastens or postpones death. It integrates psychological and spiritual aspects of patient care. It helps patients to live an active life until death and ensuring their quality of living. It also helps family to cope with patient's illness and extending support during bereavement. Palliative care is applicable even during the early course of illness, especially for therapies such as chemotherapy or radiation therapy, which are known to aggravate distressing symptoms. Now we will discuss the origin of palliative care. The demographic composition is changing worldwide owing to increasing life expectancy. People are living longer with life-threatening diseases like cancer and HIV/AIDS. In addition, an increasing proportion of elderly are also witnessing old age-related conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's disease. In light of such changes, concerns were raised to introduce new services to improve quality of life of people. England was the first country to respond to this need, where seeds of palliative care were laid by the efforts of Dame Cicely Saunders in 1948, when she began working with terminally ill and dying patients. The movement gradually led to USA, where specialized care for the dying were introduced in 1963. In 1967, Cicely founded St. Christopher Hospice in London for the care of terminally ill patients, which set the tune of modern-day palliative care movement world over. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Dame Cicely Saunders, the founder of palliative care movement in the world. Her words are very important to the palliative care specialty. She said, "You matter because you are you. You matter to the end of your life. We will do what we can, not only to help you die peacefully, but also to live until you die." We will now discuss palliative care in India. The concept of palliative care is relatively new to India as it became visible in mid-1980s with the efforts of committed health professionals and community volunteers. International organizations and professionals from developed countries backed their efforts with much needed specialized support and funding. This attracted some recognition and support from Indian government, and modifications were introduced in the National Cancer Control Program in 1984 by making pain relief as one of the basic services at primary healthcare level. But unfortunately, no action plan was delineated for making this mandatory provision a reality. Palliative care services in India are mainly for cancer patients and concentrated to a few states. Furthermore, India still does not have a uniform standard of palliative care services, resulting in various models of palliative care which have evolved with their own strengths and loopholes. The Kerala model of palliative care is renowned for being cost effective, but it is criticized for being run by community volunteers. Demographic distribution of India poses serious challenges to the development of specialized palliative care services. Fast changing population profile, inadequate disease and death registration system, cultural beliefs of people towards life-threatening diseases like HIV/AIDS and cancer make it difficult to assess the exact palliative care needs of the people. Lack of palliative care policy and government's indifferent attitude towards palliative care programs are main hurdles for the growth of palliative care in India. This is further coupled with unavailability of professionals and lack of specialized education programs in medical institutions. Now we will talk about the current state of palliative care in India. The provision of palliative care services at the end of life, though, is quite developed in the Western world, but in India, it's still in initial stage. In absence of national palliative care policies, country could not develop uniform end-of-life care services even after 2 decades of rigorous efforts by professionals and volunteers. This further resulted in uneven service provisions where one of the states at south end, that is Kerala, could develop as WHO model of community-based palliative care, but other states including the capital city have sporadic palliative care services. 19 states in India are still without palliative care provisions and only 2 states have palliative care policy. A multi-method study involving literature review, field visits and qualitative interviews with professionals revealed that palliative care services in India are mainly concentrated in urban areas except the state of Kerala. Another study revealed that explanations and counseling provided by physicians were inadequate, incomplete and unsatisfactory, reflecting lack of knowledge and specialized skills among professionals. Another study with graduate medical interns reported lack of understanding and confidence in performing palliative care skills. In India, availability of opioids is another issue, though country is one of the world's leading suppliers of medical opium. But many thousand citizens experience excruciating pain, which is further coupled with uneven distribution of opioid availability over the country. A report suggests that to access pain relief and palliative care, people have to travel long distances. Although the government has significantly increased funds for cancer control, but limited funds are allocated to palliative care despite the enormous need among patients. Lack of trained professionals further adds to the problem. Most patients with advanced cancer care simply sent home when curative treatment options or families' paying capacity is exhausted. Now we will discuss essential components for development of palliative care. India needs to develop national strategies for palliative care for country-wide coverage of palliative care programs. WHO suggests 3 essential foundation measures to the development of palliative care specialty. These are 1. Education of professionals and policymakers, 2. Drug availability and 3. Government policy. Thus, service providers and pressure groups need to focus on these 3 areas as they are currently very weak in Indian context. This picture presents the 3 essential components which are the founding measures for developing an essential program for palliative care. Approaches to palliative care. India has been currently using the traditional concept of palliative care, which demarcates curative and palliative care with a thin and straight line. In case of life-threatening disease, patients and families face myriad issues and concerns, which need to be addressed to improve the quality of life of patients and family as a whole. Thus, we need to give more emphasis to the modern concept which recognizes the need of palliative care since the beginning of diagnosis, moving along the curative treatment in an inverse relationship and extend beyond death, as bereavement care is necessary for the family and caregivers. This diagram represents 2 approaches to palliative care as forwarded by Lynn and Adamson. The first approach is traditional approach, which demarcates the curative treatment and palliative care through a thin line. And the second approach is the modern approach, where potentially curative treatment as well as palliative care go side by side, and which runs even beyond death because bereavement care is important for the families of the deceased. Models and agents of palliative care. In absence of national policy and palliative care, inadequate recognition of the specialty, lack of required infrastructure and trained specialists, different models of palliative care exist, which offer care services through varied agents. These models can be classified as pain and symptom management centers, second, home care units, third, daycare centers, fourth, hospice care, and fifth, community-based model. This diagram presents you palliative care models and different agents through which palliative care is made accessible to the patients. The first model, pain and symptom management centers, are run through hospitals. Second model, home care units, are run by hospitals as well as NGOs. Third model, daycare centers, are run solely by NGOs. The hospice is again run by NGOs, and the community-based model, which is neighborhood network palliative care model followed in Kerala, is run solely by community. Palliative care models. So now we will discuss about the different models which palliative care specialty follow. These models are pain and symptom management centers, which are run by big hospitals, both government and private, to care for terminally ill patients, especially cancer survivors, for whom pain management is the only remaining option to give them relief. These clinics are mainly manned by anesthetists. AIIMS New Delhi is one of the example of the same. Second model is home care units. While inpatients palliative care program are rare and limited to pain management only, home care units run by hospitals and NGOs is wide prevalent source of palliative care in the country till date. Home care unit of the hospitals cater to their registered terminally ill patients, while NGOs provide palliative care services to all those being in need of palliative care, especially poor, as they are the ones who could not reach to the big hospitals. A team of medical doctor, nurse and counselor manage this service by making home visits for looking after patients' medical, nursing and psychosocial needs. In addition to providing care to the patient, they also educate family members to care for the basic medical and nursing needs, as most patients at the end of life need round-the-clock care. The third model is daycare centers. In addition of home care units, NGOs also run daycare centers for emotional, social and spiritual support by offering art, craft, fun time, yoga, meditation, music, nutritional and other recreational activities. Patients from targeted communities and hospitals are brought to daycare center and given learning opportunities to lead their day constructively with fun. The fourth model is hospice care. Hospice care is a type of care that focuses on palliative care needs of terminally ill patients while attending to their physical symptoms, emotional, social and other spiritual needs in a residential setup called hospice. St. Christopher is the first modern hospice developed by Cicely Saunders in 1967 in London. In Delhi, Shanti Avedna follows the similar principle of care. Fifth is community-based model. Kerala developed a community-based model for palliative care called Neighborhood Network in Palliative Care, which is abbreviated as NNPC. Through this model, community volunteers are trained to care for patients and their family. Since this model draws its strength from community volunteers instead of professionals, so it is cost effective to resource poor and developing countries like India. NNPC trained the local community volunteers to identify the problems of chronically ill patients in their area and provide them care with support from a network of trained professionals. NNPC involves community participation with aim to empower communities for identifying and working together to address health related issues. Under this program, people who can spare some time on weekly basis are enrolled in structured training program. On successful completion of training and practice sessions, they are encouraged to work in groups to identify needs of chronically ill patients in their area and plan effective intervention under the supervision of trained professionals. They also follow up the patients visited by palliative care professionals and look after their day-to-day care issues. These volunteers also contribute to identify fundraising sources in the community and organize awareness programs. NNPC volunteers work as link between patients in the community and professionals in institutions. NNPC, though, has potential to offer lessons for initiating and managing palliative care programs in resource poor countries, but this is not an alternative to replace the professional services, as evidence-based care and new therapies are needed for the development of palliative care specialty. Now we must discuss community engagement in palliative care. Community engagement is seen as a core approach to improve population health. Community engagement is defined by the World Health Organization as a process by which people are enabled to become actively and genuinely involved in defining the issues of concerns to them, making decisions about factors that affect their lives, formulating and implementing policies, planning, developing and delivering services, and taking action to active change. Community engagement in end-of-life care is an umbrella term for a process which enables communities and organizations to work together to understand, build capacity, and address issues to improve their experience of end-of-life and bereavement. In recent years, approaches to community engagement in end-of-life care have attracted interest and gradually gained momentum within UK health practice and policy, and among those who are part of and responsible for palliative care services. There is general consensus that community engagement in end-of-life care can complement and go beyond the scope of formal service models of palliative care. Levels of engagement. For the development of palliative care specialty, community engagement is needed at varied levels. These levels are: Level 1, engaging community volunteers in delivery of care; Level 2, sensitizing future generation through awareness programs in schools and colleges; Level 3, availability of healthcare institutions providing specialized palliative care to all; Level 4, trained army of specialized palliative care professionals; Level 5th, government recognition of palliative care specialty and formulation of national level policy. This figure presents the levels of engagement in a capsule which we have just discussed and now going to discuss in length in future. Process of community engagement. Community engagement is a process and not an end in itself. It involves following steps to appropriately engage people in healthcare. These steps involve understanding of the community, culture, diversity, and process through which we become aware of the social network, political structures, preferences, resources, and point of interest as well as conflicts. The second level involves building trust and relationships, identifying key leaders, mobilizing willingness to work together. At the third level, we need to clarify the goals and levels of engagement. Next comes identifying key volunteers and capacity building through training. Following this, we need to develop a strong network, communication and support system for service delivery. And the last, we need to identify the resources and assets for sustainability of the program. Community engagement activities go beyond working in the community to working with the community to improve its experience of end-of-life care. Salo and Paul presented a spectrum of community engagement in end-of-life care which employs a hierarchical model to place emphasis on the progressive development of community capacity, quality of care, health and well-being. Now we will understand the community engagement spectrum. Community engagement activities go beyond working in the community to working with the community to improve its experiences of end-of-life care. The model presents a spectrum of community engagement in end-of-life care which employs a hierarchical stages to place emphasis on progressive development of community capacity, quality of care, health and well-being. 5 types of community work are represented along the length of this spectrum, which are 1. Inform, 2. Consult, 3. Involvement, 4th. Collaborate and 5th. Empower. The first step of inform represents making the people aware about nature of existing services to public health messages. Pamphlets, websites or community meetings are commonly used methods for the same. The community is passive recipient at this stage as aim is to raise awareness and building will to act rather than involvement. The second step of consultation involves gathering views from the community about the existing health problems and needs. Role of key leaders is important at this stage as they work as link between the service providers and community. Community walks, surveys and public meetings are main methods at this stage. The third step of involvement refers to working together to address the health needs of the community. Community people take initiative and volunteer themselves in service delivery. Preparing people through training program to deliver services to the community at large is the integral task at this stage. The fourth stage of collaboration involves participatory decision making. Communities are supposed to develop alternative models of care and to deliver these jointly with the service provider. The next stage is empowerment, which means it involves a spectrum requiring the community taking full control of an aspect of care and developing its own responses. The community design and deliver the services on their own. However, they may need specialist support from outside. This diagram represents the 5 stages of community engagement process which we are discussing and will go at further length. In Western world, community engagement also include meeting the preferences for dying, whereas in India, community engagement aimed at addressing the basic medico-psychosocial issues of the patients and their family. We are very far away in giving preferences to the people for dying in terms of where and how people want to take their last breath. This hinders making dying a normal process of life. We are yet focusing on making basic services available to ailing people for ensuring dignified life. Now we will draw certain recommendations for developing palliative care specialty in India. Palliative care in UK was established outside the NHS and gradually integrated in government mainstream health programs. India can also expect to see the same, which means beginning with voluntary efforts and getting absorbed in government mainstream health system in long run. India lacks a comprehensive database for causes of death as death registration is yet not compulsory. India needs urgent and reliable quantification of causes of death. In addition, assessment of prevalence of symptoms for different diseases is required so that appropriate interventions can be designed. Availability of opioid is a major concern for making palliative care accessible to all in India. Regulations governing use of opioids need certain level of flexibility for its better accessibility to patients and avoiding unnecessary long travel to procure these medicines. Advocacy groups need to come forward to build up a national council of palliative care so that pressure group can influence policymakers. National Council can also ensure that only specified trained volunteers and professionals provide services in order to maintain quality of such services. Policymakers also need to consider allocating adequate resources, especially recognizing the equity principle. India also needs to foster general understanding of healthcare needs among the masses. As Bradshaw taxonomy suggested, people may not demand something as they lack knowledge about it. Further, this has been proved by research with ethnic minority communities. Public awareness and building a public opinion through community network is required. Coordination and networking with media may be a good tool for this. We also need to facilitate change by supporting demonstration projects. As evidence suggested, lack of confidence and specialized skills among professionals. So, India needs to invest more to train multidisciplinary professionals since well-performing, skilled workforce is the foundation base of a structure. Palliative care education needs to be integrated at the graduate and postgraduate curriculum. We also need to recognize the social character of health and illness. Dying needs to be viewed as a normal process of life and not as a failure of medical profession. We also need to recognize the efforts of family caregivers and introduce mechanisms to support them like caregiving leave, tax benefits as they afford costly treatment. Research is the base for the growth of a profession, as indigenous literature and practice is required to strengthen an emerging field. The challenges to palliative care research at the initial level may include lack of expertise, challenging in designing a study, problem in constructing RCTs, selection, recruitment and retention, and also lack of valid measurement tools. This requires research supporting policies, increasing investment in research, development and education of professionals. In order to develop population-specific and indigenous practice, research on effectiveness and cost-effectiveness of services is required. India needs to develop guidelines for development and evaluation of complex interventions, brainstorming rigorous exercises with professionals representing varied disciplines is necessary here. So now we must summarize what we have learned by this time. Two highlights what we learned in this module are: India lacks a uniform model of palliative care. If one of the widely known model is run mostly by volunteers, then central government hospitals which attract patients from all over country employs only anesthetists and not a multi-professional team to provide palliative care. In light of different models of palliative care, India is struggling with the debate if palliative care is a specialty offered by multi-professional team or just a basic care which can be provided by community volunteers. when developed countries like UK now posing question to themselves how much palliative care do they need, for whom, when, where and what cost, we are still struggling to answer what is palliative care. So, highlights of our learning are poverty, population, density, geography, opioid unavailability, limited workforce and palliative care policy are other major hurdles for development of palliative care in India. Despite all limitations, India just can't ignore the concerns of the population at the end of their life. Palliative care is an urgent humanitarian need in context of fast changing demography and health issues. India needs to respond urgently as most of its economically productive age group is facing life-threatening conditions and proportion of elderly is increasing. Challenge for palliative care for India is to develop models and coverage appropriate to those in need, irrespective of their disease, with a special focus on elderly, especially women. Services have to be culturally appropriate and more accessible to the disadvantaged groups, focusing on empowering communities. Dear students, I hope this session will help you to learn about palliative care specialty. Wish you all the very best for future learning. Thank you.